Another idea I wanted to talk about is how many x-intercepts does a quadratic have? So what I did is I went ahead and left up the graph from that previous question up here. And so that previous question that we graphed, we saw that it had two solutions. It was -2 and +3, and those were my two solutions. And we'll also see that that parabola crosses the x-axis in two places at those two solutions, those two x-intercepts. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of different examples, some different things that can happen here. So what if we had a parabola that maybe did this? So this parabola never crosses the x-axis. So if it never crosses the x-axis, then it does not have any x-intercepts. And what that means is it kind of doesn't have any solutions. Now the reason I say kind of is because we're going to come back to this in a later chapter, and we're going to talk about how it does actually have unreal solutions or imaginary solutions. But for now, we're going to say that it has no real solutions. Whereas this one had two solutions that we can see. It's -2 and 3, and -2 and 3 are just kind of regular old real numbers that we're used to. This one does not cross the x-axis, so it does not have any real solutions. So it has no real solutions, no x-intercepts. Okay, let's talk about one other possibility. I'm going to draw one more parabola here. This time I'm going to come down and I'm going to just barely hit that x-axis. So again, that's my x-axis right here. So what this has is this has one x-intercept. And what I'm going to say is it's one repeated x-intercept or one repeated 0. So for example, like let's just say that this hits at 2. Okay? And so if that hits at 2, as we saw in the previous problem, the factor is going to look like x minus 2. Because when I plug in that value of +2, 2 minus 2 gets me to 0. Now, since it only hits once, that 2 is actually going to be repeated. So what it's going to be is it's going to be x minus 2 squared, and that's going to be my function, x minus 2 squared. And so when it hits the x-axis in one position, then there is one repeated solution, or one repeated x-intercept, or one repeated 0. So to summarize, if we look at this bottom here, this has two distinct x-intercepts. This one has one repeated x-intercept. This one has no x-intercepts.